Harden, man, the Nets, man, the slump, man, the rumors, man. It's just all kind of crazy how things have just kind of been going on. Obviously, you gave us some updated information with Steve Nash saying that there won't be any trade, so we can put that to sleep. But Nets are what on the 7-game win streak. At one point they were the number one seed, losing streak. Yeah, 7-game losing streak, and at one point, they were the team. Even though before Kyrie started playing, KD and James had them at the number one seed. Now they're the 6th seed as well too. So it's just kind of crazy how things kind of unfolded. I'd say Harden kind of hasn't really been looking like himself. Been a little bit lethargic on the court as well too. I don't know if it's wear and tear. I don't know if it's internal problems that he's having or external kind of problems that are kind of going about. But it's pretty clear based on his play, based on their losing streak, that he's unhappy, that this roster isn't necessarily the best. Obviously, there's some injuries as well too. And there's just feels like there's just a certain level of uncertainty going on a daily basis within the organization with who's going to suit up, who's not going to suit up as well too. So do you see the Nets being able to turn things around, one? And then my second topic for you is, do you see a scenario where James Harden, whether they win the finals or not, whether they go to the finals or not, do you see a scenario where he actually wants out?
Well, so going off of what he said about, or I don't know if he actually verbally said this to reporters or whoever reported this, saying that he hasn't enjoyed his time in Brooklyn, doesn't really like the environment itself. Going off of that, if he's a free agent this summer, then yeah, I think he's gone. You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about like having a whole season with KD, it's not KD's fault. He's injured. KD was busting his ass out there, MVP. Like it was no doubt. We were all thinking it. You know what I'm saying? But having Kyrie not playing, and then now he is playing, but only away games. And then hearing how there's a rift between him and Kyrie as far as like, you don't want to play these certain games and I'm busting my ass on the court, home game and away games. I can see them, getting to the playoffs and then doing damage and possibly going to the finals, possibly even winning it. They're still going to be a top, 4 seed or at least contender in the East. You can't look at them and be like, oh, they're and dismantled. No, KD's going to be back at the end of February. Yeah. And you know how he came back from the ACL injury. He's going to come back and be KD once he's here. And it's going to be KD, Harden, Kyrie in away games, and they're still going to be dangerous. But as far as the offseason goes, if they don't win that chip, I think Harden is definitely out. If they win the chip, I think he considers it. But I think the Nets are going to start making moves as far as like Kyrie Irving. Because did Kyrie even sign the extension?
Nah, because he's on his shit. So they didn't even offer it to him.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, that means okay, KD could probably, or not KD, James Harden could probably sign an extension if Kyrie doesn't sign an extension. Now, they win a chip, and what happens if the vaccine isn't really required for next season? And then Kyrie can play every game, and then KD is healthy. Boom, the Brooklyn Nets are scarier than ever. You know what I'm saying? That could be another scenario, but as it stands right now, I have Harden leaving in the offseason. And I was hoping they would trade for Ben Simmons. Sucks that Steve Nash came out and said that bullshit. I didn't want to hear that. Just make it exciting. You ain't have to announce that to us. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But it's okay.
Yeah. Me personally, if I'm James Harden, yeah, if we don't win, I'm out. Like, but it's kind of hard, right? Like, you force your way out of Houston. You say you want to be here, but sometimes the grass isn't necessarily greener on the other side as well, too. If you'd have told me that there was going to be a pandemic and Kyrie was going to be basically, obviously he's not quote unquote anti-vax, but he's damn sure not taking a vaccine.
Yeah.
I would just been like, yo, like, what am I doing, bro? Like, all of us are going to war, but you on some bullshit, nigga. Like, what's up? Like, we respect it. We're going to say the right thing, but I know niggas, man. And I know for a fact he's talking to his boys and like, yo, like, this is some bullshit right now. Son, like, This shit just don't make no fucking sense. And obviously winning cures all, but when you lose, you start to think about those things on a daily basis, man. So in a perfect world, I would love for Kyrie to get vaccinated and play. Like we already talked about the whole fine situation a couple of weeks ago and whatnot as well too, but I don't really see them doing the fine unless they absolutely have to for the playoffs, and it just doesn't make sense to kind of be excessive with it right now. Obviously, when KD comes back, though, I mean, KD was playing with scrubs all this season. You know what I'm saying? With James Harden not even being in James Harden shape, and they still had the number 1 seed. So, for their sake, I hope they can get at least the top 3 seed at this point. I mean, there's a couple of games going to have to cover to kind of get there. But yeah. I think when KD comes back, which looks like it's going to be end of the month or early March, I think things will be a little bit better as well too. But yeah, if I'm Harden and we don't win, then I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And it makes perfect sense. Daryl Morey's in Philly right now. That's the only GM he's is really accustomed to, who's always been in the best interest of Harden as far as helping him, compete for a championship. Joel Embiid's in his prime, modern day Hakeem Olajuwon, but more skilled. So James Harden's only getting older. There's already a ready-made team. You got Coach Doc right there. I mean, if he's there and he can get back to what he was in Houston and what he was last year before getting a hamstring injury, the 76ers have a legit shot at winning a championship for like the next 3 years, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on that as well too. But leaving KD, that's really hard to leave the best player in the league. That's really, really hard. But you can also argue Joel's the best player in the league. Like, there's a lot of top-notch, top-quality players, but it really just comes down to your preference. So we definitely gonna see what happens as well too. So my dream scenario would be if Harden got traded for Ben Simmons and then Dame got traded for Kyrie Irving. And you just have a new big 3 with KD, with Damian Lillard, and with Ben Simmons. That would be ideal for me. I know that's not going to happen. That's wishful thinking.
That'd be crazy.
But that's going to be interesting to